Hey y'all, today I'm going to show you how to make a classic green bean casserole, but make it gluten-free and from complete scratch, including the onions, y'all, or my version without onions. It's crazy good, y'all, so let's get into it and I'll show you how to make it. I'm starting with the topping, and you are seeing this right. I have a peeled potato. I'm going to julienne this with my little julienne cutter here. It's something I got from Lidl, but I'll leave a link where you can buy this online. It's really easy to do this, just like peeling a potato. Now, I know a lot of y'all are wondering, why a potato? There's not usually potatoes in green bean casserole, and you are right, but if you don't know me by now, I absolutely loathe onions. I mean, I cannot stand them at all. However, I know the rest of the world really loves them, so I'm going to show you those in a minute, but this is my version with crispy potato straws. So I'm just taking this julienne cutter and julienning this potato until it's into fine little shreds. And I'm going to put these in cold water and swish them around just to get all that starch off of them. That'll make them super, super crispy. And now I'm putting them in my salad spinner to get most of the water off, because y'all know that oil and water just do not mix, right? You don't want this popping when they go in the hot oil. All right, I'll just put these on some paper towels and blot them dry so they're super dry as I can get them. And I've got some oil heating up in a small saucepan. I'm not doing this by temperature with a thermometer or anything, so I'm just going to drop one potato straw in and check it out. And this looks to be taking a little long for it to come up and really start sizzling, so I'm just going to wait just a moment longer. It's just the oil isn't at the right temp yet. Y'all, when I came up with this idea to use potatoes instead of onions, I thought nobody would like it but me. But if you don't like onions, or even if you love them, these potatoes may just convert you. They are so freaking good, you guys. And even if you don't use them for this recipe, you can make these potato straws just to snack on, or for other things that you want to top. I can't think of what right now, but there are probably many, many things that you can use these for. And the beauty of this is that they stay crisp for like a month. You just store them at room temperature in an airtight container, and you can make them that far in advance of when you need them. Okay, these are nicely browned, so I'm just going to get these out, and I'll drain them on paper towels and hit them with some salt right away too. All right, let me switch to the shallots, because I know some of you are die-hard onion fans. I've got a few shallots here, and I'm just going to peel them. I have my mandolin, and I'm going to use this on the thinnest setting. You can also cut them with a knife, but you'll want to cut them as thin as you possibly can. Just make sure you don't nick your fingers or your knuckles. I know that I should be using the guard for this thing, but it's just so awkward, and so I never use the guard for little stuff like this. Okay, to fry these, it's just a little bit different than the potato straws. I'm actually going to start with cold oil. I'll just cover the shallots with oil, and I'm going to turn the burner on to high, just about high. And I might actually need to add a little more oil than that. Okay, I'm going to stir them around while they're boiling, and what's going to happen is they're going to soften first. You might be able to see that, and then they're going to start browning. And when they start browning, do not walk away. Continue to stir, because it happens within minutes or even seconds. They can go from perfectly golden brown to a little overly brown. Okay, I'm going to kill the heat at this point. And honestly, if I wasn't doing this on film, they would have been perfect as you saw when they were in the pan. But because I had to set up the camera and everything and get all the different angles, you can see how much they darkened just from that time. So word to the wise, as soon as they're fully browned, immediately drain them and get them out of that oil. I'm going to actually spread these out a little more. Ooh, they are hotter than hot. So let me grab a fork and use that to like spread them apart. And they're going to immediately start crisping up. So hit them with some salt too right away. And these, by the way, you can do these a month in advance too. Just keep them in an airtight container at room temperature. All right, now that I've got those dreaded onions out of the way, I'm going to blanch my green beans. I'm going to drop them in some boiling salted water for about 8 to 10 minutes or until they're just fork tender. This is 2 pounds of green beans that I trimmed and then I cut mostly in half. Some of them are larger pieces, but that's okay. Then I'm going to plunge them right into this bath of ice water here, which is going to stop them from cooking any further, and it's also going to keep that vibrant green color to them. And when they're fully cold, I'll just drain them on some paper towels. On to the mushroom sauce. This is the best part. I've got a pound of baby Bella mushrooms here, and I'm chopping them into a pretty fine dice, maybe 1/3 to 1/2 inch. Doesn't need to be perfect, just pretty small. All right, that looks good. I'm going to melt some butter in a large skillet. Y'all, I'm making half a recipe here in this video, so it might look different than what I say, but this is actually supposed to be 4 tablespoons or 56 grams of butter. And then once the butter is nice and sizzling and nearly almost to the point of slightly browning, I'm going to drop in my mushrooms and kind of zhuzh them around just to fully coat them and get them in one single layer. And I'll let these saute, coming back and stirring them every so often until they're slightly reduced and most of that water has evaporated. They're almost going to be a little bit on the crispy side. And now I'm going to add in 2 cloves of finely minced garlic and just stir that around. And then I'm adding a 1/4 cup of cornstarch, and I'll just spread this all around until it's well incorporated into the mushrooms. And I gotta say, y'all, this sauce is so good. I will be serving this on steaks in the future for me and my husband. We love a great mushroom sauce on top of steaks of any kind, especially tenderloin. Okay, now I can add in 2 cups or 480 grams of chicken stock. And then just stir that around a little bit. And then comes the heavy cream. This is 1.5 cups or 360 grams. And then I'm going to add in the best flavor boosters here. They really make this so tasty. I've got 2 teaspoons of gluten-free soy sauce, or you can use tamari, and 2 teaspoons of lemon juice, and then salt and pepper to taste. This recipe is based on Kenji Lopez Alt's recipe. I'll leave a link for that. It's for homemade green bean casserole, and it's really brilliant. All of his recipes are. I just changed a few things to make it gluten-free and kind of to suit my liking. This is going to thicken within a few minutes. You'll see it start to leave a trail like this and coat the back of the spoon. It's just that simple to make a substitute for cream of mushroom soup, y'all. It is perfect. All right, we get to assemble this now. I've got my blanched green beans in a bowl, and I'm just going to pour this yummy sauce all over the top and get every last bit of this because it's just so good, y'all. I'll toss this together, and then I've got a casserole dish here. This one's a little bit smaller because I'm only making half a recipe. So normally if you're going to make the full recipe, go with a 9 by 13 inch casserole dish. I could seriously eat this sauce on a flip-flop and it tastes good. I'll just spread this out into an even layer. And then I'm going to grab some Parmigiano Reggiano as my final step before popping this in the oven. I don't think Kenji puts this in his recipe, but I just kind of felt like it needed some kind of cheese because everything's so much better with cheese, right? You can put as much or as little as you'd like. No one's judging here. And we'll get this into the oven, 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 15 to 20 minutes or so, or until it's hot and bubbly. Okay, hot and bubbly, coming right up. The only thing missing is that crunch factor on top. I'm using my potato straws, of course, but I know y'all now know how to make the crispy shallots, so you can use those if you're an onion lover. And that's all there is to it, y'all. It's so simple. And it's way, way better than any green bean casserole I've ever had. And probably you're going to feel the same way. Look at the written recipe on my blog for all the tips on how to make all of this in advance leading up to that big day. Enjoy, y'all.